Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Max and Trev with BuzzTox here with our reaction review, where we sit down and give our thoughts about the episode 20 minutes after we've watched it. What's going on, Trev?
Not too much. Excited to talk about it.
Damn straight. What did you like about this episode?
Maeve.
I love this episode because, I love Dolores as a main character, but once in a while I like how they kind of focus on outside of Westworld so we can kind of get like a different taste. And I like how we have really like deep characters inside Westworld like Maeve and Dolores and like the Man in Black, but we also have outside characters like Bernard, who I really like Bernard, like Elsie and like Ford, all these fascinating characters. Yeah. I like how they really focused on outside of Westworld in this episode.
Yeah, like Dolores is awesome, but she's damsel in distress mode right now. That's what I don't like about it.
Well, right? I don't know about the last episode.
Well, not about the last episode. She finally...
I chose to be no damsel.
But still, like, she's still kind of getting dragged along. And, like, with Maeve, I always thought she's going to be, like, the revolutionary leader. And by the end of this episode, we were like, yep, she's going to be the revolutionary
I know,
leader.
Max stats.
Yeah, she got the cheat codes.
But before we get into it, I just want to touch on a couple things that I noticed with the episode overall. And I really just want to talk about the logos. There are a lot of little Easter eggs with where the logos were placed throughout this episode, more than in any other episode.
Yeah.
And that's mainly because this whole episode pretty much took place outside of like the Westworld park itself.
Yeah, like in the corporate.
Yeah, but we see the old Westworld logo, which almost confirms it because Bernard goes underground in almost the where the initial park started, and it's just ended up
creepiest fucking office
holy
of all
shit.
time.
Do the lights flicker 24/7?
I know, you would think in a technology company they would have either lights on or lights off.
Just to raise the spook factor, holy shit.
And I think Yul Brynner was in the background from the original movie.
Yeah, it was a good Easter egg there. But, yeah, so I guess they just abandoned it because, like you said, it's cheaper than to just scrap everything, just leave it, bury it, whatever. And then they built a new kind of facility on top of that. But when he's down there on the computer, we see the old logo. And, and then also in this episode, we also see the new logo, which is when Maeve is taking a walk through, and we see the typical Westworld new sleek logo.
Yeah. Like the W in straight brackets.
Yeah, and what I find fascinating about that is obviously it hints to time, because if you look at the past episodes, the old logo has been seen with young Ford, when Ford is, operating in episode 3 and all these people, we see the old logo kind of on his... Oh, no, not on him. We see it on another worker. Yeah. And then also, when William enters the fucking facility, we see the old logo.
Exactly.
It's confirmed!
Yeah, it would be like he didn't come in during Retro Week. It was on purpose.
Yeah. Retro Week. So that was interesting. But let's go into kind of our breakdown of the episode. So first of all, let's talk about the Man in Black. So he's on Dolores' trail. They're in the graveyard, and he's with Teddy.
No, see, I'm confused.
And they're pursuing Pariah, yes?
Okay, sorry. You meant like they're on the same walk as Dolores. Not like they're chasing Dolores.
They're chasing Wyatt, which the Man in Black has told Teddy he has Dolores. Which he doesn't.
He doesn't, okay.
But I think...
she's going to be there on her own.
Yeah, but really they're pursuing Dolores anyway, because Dolores is following her past experiences with herself and with William, so she's tracing her steps. So what I think that's going to lead to is eventually Teddy, the Man in Black, and Dolores are actually going to meet.
Yes.
But they're going to do it in a way where she's with William, and then it's almost going to flash to the Man in Black, and she's alone. And I think it's going to be the trade-off from, like, we've been following Dolores this whole time of her in the past. Yeah. And then around episode 8, episode 9, it's going to switch to we're going to be following Dolores from the present time for the rest of the season.
Yeah, like, I see, like, this weird parallel scene where the Man in Black sees Teddy and her doing the same things that William and her did in this previous
Yeah, and I think we're going to get a reveal that the Man in Black is William this episode, or not this episode, this season. I think we're going to see kind of like a Dolores looks and sees William, and then it's going to turn into the Man in Black. Like something like that along those lines. But anyway, we still got a couple episodes to go. But they're pursuing Pariah. But on the way, they get caught. Or is it on the way?
Yeah.
On the way, they get caught by the Union, which Teddy was actually kind of worked for at the time. And, you know, that was when his buddy Wyatt, like, killed a bunch of them. And they just accused Teddy of also killing all these people.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny because it's like his wanted poster would be him in a union and a union costume.
Yeah.
And literally the Man in Black makes him dress up in union costumes to, like, hide, like, camouflage or blend in.
Didn't he even say, he's like, I think you got the wrong man.
Yeah.
It's, like, so blatantly obvious.
It's like a bank robber wearing a striped shirt and a bandana. Like,
Yeah.
It's just a bit ridiculous. But that's okay, because it ended up being awesome.
Oh, it's fine. And then I think he's like, I didn't do that. Like, I ain't no murderer. And then they flash back to him actually shooting somebody with Wyatt.
Yeah. Like,
And then
executing someone, not just shooting someone.
Yeah, and then it doesn't help that Teddy's like, I ain't no murderer, but then he commits massive genocide to get him and the Man in Black out of the situation.
There might be a story to what's going on with him and Wyatt. Maybe there was something that it's hard to reconcile in my head, but maybe they needed to kill those people in order to save someone else, because it looks like we're starting to see some native things, right, coming up. Like, we see some native raid coming up, and there was some pretty gruesome battles in real life. Massacres, I should call them, because they weren't really battles. So maybe they felt bad for a massacre that took place and they're on the defense, right? So who knows? But right now it looks like Teddy was dipping his toes in the dark side.
And also, like, hosts, I think, throughout the show, I don't have any examples right now because we're just off the cuff, but hosts serve the guests. And, hosts do certain things that may be out of character in certain situations to get the guests to a certain point or to a certain, like, goal or whatever.
Yeah.
And it seems like Teddy has been, he's been giving this story by Ford about Wyatt, and Ford turned this guy into a badass.
Yeah, big time.
And the only reason I can really think of him being turned into a badass is to aid the Man in Black in pursuing this maze. It's almost like Ford kind of sliding something under the table to try and, help him there.
That's where we agree. I think Ford is going all out for the man in the maze because something's going on and he recognizes it, where he needs to find the man in the maze, which we're thinking is Arnold, or it represents Arnold in some form or another. But it's weird because the Man in Black asks Teddy about the maze, and Teddy gives him, like, the real Wikipedia version of what it actually is.
Like what is believed of what it is?
Yeah, like the spiritual native story behind it. Whereas I think what we're going to find is it being like this technological place of uploading or transcending your consciousness into the game itself or into these hosts.
Yeah, and it seems obvious, like, nothing is stopping the Man in Black and Teddy. Like, Teddy can hold his own, and he has to hold his own to be able to get the Man in Black to reach his goal.
That's what I mean. So, like, this is Ford's sledgehammer initiative to find out what the hell it is, because he now recognizes that the Man in Black is his best chance of finding out what it is, but he's trying to get to it as well for his own motives.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. And it's still questionable what his motives are.
Yeah, like we saw him looking at that notebook.
Yes, the notebook. What's crazy about that, so he pulled this notebook out of his office and he sat down and he was flipping through the pages, and we see Dolores.
Yeah.
And then immediately the next page, it goes to the maze.
Yes.
We both immediately had the same assumption. This is Arnold's notebook.
Yeah.
And I just find it interesting how Dolores and the maze are side by side, which means that, it's almost like Dolores is the only host that has been created to approach this maze. Or, like, it's his plan. It was like his plan to make Dolores the key to the maze, and, like, how she's associated with it. So Dolores is key for unlocking the maze, and I feel like she's pursuing that now. And so what's Maeve's purpose then?
Maeve, I don't know. She's like, obviously we know what's going on with her, but, like, is it only because Dolores whispered into her ear that she broke code? But she seems a lot more important than that, but we don't see any signs of her being important
because
other
I feel
than
like
what she's doing now.
Yeah, I feel like the contrast is like Dolores was made for a purpose where Maeve wasn't.
Yeah, but
and Maeve has kind of figured out somehow, maybe these violent delights of violent ends was the key, which is Arnold's verbal code, which he has put in all of his androids, which we also see in Abernathy, because back in his past, he was a Romeo and Juliet He was a Shakespearean teacher,
Yeah.
I believe.
So it was
Professor?
maybe something that broke earlier.
So I think that was code for letting these hosts know about their like true reality.
Yeah.
And I think we're seeing this whole story is seeing us. We're learning about the past through Dolores, and then we're seeing Maeve discover herself in the present and uprise in the present, which mimics what could have happened in the past.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Abernathy and Dolores were originals. We saw Abernathy being like created when in Ford's flashback when he was young. So those two were original hardwired hosts. Whereas Maeve seems, well, we know she's new by the way they fix her, right? They go into her flesh and blood, right? So is it maybe a way that of the old speaking to the new, and she just happened to be the one that they chose? But then another part of me goes into, excuse me, that she had the dream of her daughter, but the man in black was involved in it, and he was pulling the knife. So it's almost like maybe there's a Men in Black connection here where he's starting a revolution in a sense. Like that seems like a far gap because he wants to get to the maze and that's his main part. So what does the Man in Black have to do with Maeve yet?
Yeah, I really want to figure out why Maeve was there, because I feel like every host that is cracking code, the Man in Black has been associated with.
Unless he was searching for the maze for so long and she was like one of his top leads, or maybe her daughter was.
Yeah, because it seems like what we saw there with the Man in Black walking in, that seems like that was her last memory.
Yeah. No, it was something so traumatic that it woke her up. Just like what we were saying on the last speak, that he was doing something so traumatic to Dolores off camera that it wakes her up or makes her break code.
Yeah.
Right? So there's so many layers to this.
It would be interesting to see what she does remember, because she's been going through, like, she learned so much this episode. It's really been her just I don't know, just holy shit, really learning a lot. Like, she went through a whole walkthrough the building. I don't know what the fuck Felix is thinking.
Yeah, that was bad judgment on his end.
What an idiot. But hey, kudos to him. Like, I'm happy for Maeve, but what a dumb shit.
Well, see, I don't know, like, maybe he just feels bad for her now.
I honestly feel like he feels bad for her, because you can't blame him. Like
I thought he was being a pussy in the first one, but now it's just like, wait, yeah, we're pretty awful these things.
No, really, like I feel like I would look at it in a similar way, because it's like a lot of people find, like, I've heard a lot of people talk about this and be like, oh, like, why are people getting attached to them? Like, they're obviously just hosts, like they know they're robots, but they're it's past a certain point where,
well, when she starts talking about like this, that, and this, and then she starts tripping out because of what she sees the next thing she's gonna say,
and they're so real, that you have to have a serious lack of empathy to do that to someone.
And that's why we see the contrast between Felix and the douchebag that he's with.
And there's no difference between them and humans anymore, because they're made flesh and bone. They're literally created.
Exactly.
And they operate the same way we do. They're printed tissue. They're built exactly like us. The only difference is that they're not born.
Yeah.
Which would be interesting, because I actually believe that this is a scientific feat that could happen in the future.
Yeah.
I don't know how the fuck you could program or create something to give birth to something. I don't even know if that's possible. That to me doesn't even make any sense.
Well, if they 3D printed all the same molecules in the same way, then they could do it.
It would, but it's so crazy.
It was cool because you got to see how those things were birthed in this. Like, yeah, we've seen it in the background, but you see like this injection of life turn them from, I thought they were white and then they were like painted somehow.
And then it starts adding color.
But really, they're just without blood.
No, it's really just their bodies pumping blood through. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Very cool.
And then we get a look at more of the technical side, where you see kind of her statistical chart.
Yeah.
Where it's like all of her personality traits, and we're taught that they're obviously given kind of like a border where they can't exceed a certain mark.
Like
just
every
for controlment.
RPG skill tree we've ever seen in a video game.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a statistical chart where obviously you can't go out of line, because they want to keep them controlled and they want to keep them human, because, you know. But really what we learned here is that these hosts have the potential to pass human intelligence and human strength, human everything.
Everything.
And I think Maeve really got a taste of that, because I think they pretty much gave her 100% capacity.
Yeah. But they noticed something, though, like someone else was messing with her stuff.
Yep.
So, did you take that as what Dolores whispered to her started altering her own?
I took that as whatever it is leads to Arnold. I think we've learned a lot about this episode about Arnold, and I think whoever he is, whether he's an AI or whatever, he is tampering with Maeve. Because I feel like whatever, his goal is to set these people free, and I think he knows now is the time to strike.
Yeah.
And I think he's really trying to correct Maeve too. And this Felix thing was just...
Yeah, so we just don't know what the connection is with Maeve yet.
Yeah, but I think she's going to start, really bringing in her people on it. Next thing is Clementine, her friend.
Yeah.
I think she's gonna.
Oh, we see her like kung fuing someone.
Yeah, so I think she's gonna definitely be kind of coerced by Maeve, and I think it's just gonna get absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
In outside of Westworld.
What do you think a penultimate episode of this show looks like?
I have no idea, because if
like big reveal, big battle. Like I try and put it in Game of Thrones terms. But...
Well, because if there's a revolution outside of the park, then where do you go for season 2?
I don't know.
I have absolutely no idea.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
But let's talk about Bernard. Bernard goes into the sub-level part of the park, the old part of the park, and he figures out that they're old hosts in the park that actually cannot be controlled by the new technologies that they're using to track them.
Yes.
So he really tries to figure out where this is, and he ends up finding this abandoned house. And he finds Ford's family house.
Yeah.
He finds Ford's parents, he finds Ford's brother, and then he finds that little boy, which is Ford as a kid, which, hey, we nailed that. Congratulations. Fucking right.
Well, it's so obvious. They had the same pocket watch.
Okay. And then Ford's dad went fucking haywire, which shows, he has no control over them. Only Ford has control over them, which is really dangerous.
Kind of creepy, because he was like a tough drinking dad. It's like abusive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You never know.
Ford says he didn't have a happy childhood. So, does he leave the kid robots there to get abused? That's even weirder.
And he even said he added characteristics to his dad to make him more lifelike and, brutal.
As he's pouring a drink for himself, too. That's what's so crazy about it. Ford's a dark character, definitely. Yeah,
definitely. And we find out that these robots were actually created by Arnold as a gift, which really hints at, that kind of stuff, It's almost like a nice gesture, but it's also like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's a dirty,
Thanks,
it's a very dirty thing to do.
Yeah.
And, Dolores, we don't know where she's from, but we know that Ford has this kind of feeling with her, like she's a walled garden, as you said.
Yeah.
Like she can't be touched by him. There's something about her that he can't scrap.
No.
Whether she belongs in that house with that family.
Yeah.
Whether Arnold made her a certain way and made her the key to the maze because he knew that Ford would be kind of unable to kind of hurt her because he loved her in some way, somehow.
Maybe she's the key to the whole park. There's some sort of hidden software in her, and that's why. I don't know, man. But we know she's important because she's the main character, but for him, I'm trying to think of what would keep her there when he could scrap anything he wanted to and control anything he wanted to, which he has no control over her because she's lying into his face.
Yeah, and one thing that really turned me off, and you mentioned it kind of made me upset, is that the little boy's face peels back like crazy, and then Dolores is first gen too.
Yeah.
Does that mean she can do that?
Yeah, she's got a clover face.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all. But she bleeds, but I guess that doesn't matter.
No, the original one's bled too.
It makes me depressed, man. I like Dolores. I don't like that she's a robot.
Yeah.
But anyways, after Bernard discovers that, he goes to see Teresa. And then Elsie goes on a fucking, hunt. She goes to this abandoned house in one of these sectors to try and find information. And she finds out that Teresa is smuggling information.
Or someone using Teresa's log.
Yes, so it might not be Teresa. And Arnold's logs are actually in there. Yeah. Which is weird. It shows that he's active. And this whole time, and then Bernard cancels the call. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, Elsie's fucked.
Yeah.
She's dead. And then she gets choke held. So we'll see what happens next episode. But what do you think's next for Elsie?
I think that was Ashley. I think when she hung up the phone saying, I'm going to go da-da-da-da-da to Sector 3 and explore the spooky dungeon house on my own, Bernard even says, he's like, are you by yourself? And then she's like, yeah, I'll be fine, and hangs up before he could say anything. I think he called in for backup for her. And this is Ashley, like, sort of playing with her and freaking her out.
I feel like it's kind of a cop-out, though.
I don't know. I think they would have showed her die if they're going to do something to her.
I agree. If she was in that position, they would have killed her in this episode, because you can't keep somebody hostage in a park. You got to remember this is like a commercial park.
Yeah.
But I don't even know, though, because there's all these abandoned places. Like, maybe the guests can't access this, because it would make sense, because it'd be pretty fucking dangerous if somebody accessed Ford's little family.
Yeah, but it's like, think about it like Disney World, right? You can only go to certain spots in Disney World. But if you hopped the fence and got on a ride and you hurt yourself, then it would be the same kind of thing. Like, you weren't supposed to be there to begin with. But when it comes to them, like, I think what's going to happen, in my opinion, it is Ashley that hugged her. Haha, good one, you got me good. And then one of those two people are getting hurt badly in the next episode because something that happens there at that place.
Yeah, and then I'd be interested to see if Teresa is actually, a part of this or not a part of this. Why would she be smuggling information out? And obviously, if you're smuggling information out and based on that location, you're also aiding Arnold, whoever that form may be.
Yeah. Well, I had like the momentary feeling that she could maybe be Arnold's daughter. Putting it out there, but it's kind of loose theory right now.
Yeah, see, the thing with that is, like, you try and look for these connections. I just don't want it to be like, and he's her sister, and he's his son, and they're related, and there. So, I don't know. You got to be careful when you throw those out.
I know, we're spinning so many plates on this, on these things, but hey, you never know.
Yeah, and then we got one last hint about Arnold when Ford comes to throw the ball with himself and throw it with this greyhound. Which, it's the only happy memory this poor bastard has ever had is with this greyhound. And he sees it dead.
He was speaking to the robot.
What?
He was speaking to the robot outside about this memory.
What?
Ford in the last episode was speaking to the robot.
The old robot.
Yeah.
The woman in the white shoes.
Yeah. Is it possible that it's like a way of saying, like, I'm watching you because you explained it to my robot that's outside of Westworld? Like, I'm in deep in your shit, basically. And that was a signal to him saying, yeah, I'm watching.
Arnold.
Yeah, like, this is how far I've come with my capabilities now.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's Arnold's way of telling Ford shit's getting real.
Yeah.
And I think whoever this Arnold is now, I think he's probably an AI like Transcendence or something like that. But he knows this is the time to strike. So I think it's kind of like a, hey, Ford, get ready.
Yeah.
Because I'm coding Maeve. I got Dolores pursuing the maze.
Yeah.
Like, I got all these things in the works, and you have no idea what's coming.
Well, and then Teresa would be the highest ranking person on the park, right?
Commercial-wise.
Other than Ford.
Yeah.
Right? So like the rights to the computer would just be the highest other than Ford, which Ford would have kept secret from Arnold even. So it could just be that he's hacking, who knows. But I don't know. I think there's something there.
Well, I think, Ford is pretty clear that Ford is almost pursuing being God of his world. Like, he likes his world and his creations and kind of just overseeing that.
Yeah.
Arnold created them and ended up falling in love with them, and now he wants them to be free.
Yeah.
So they're conflicting there, and then obviously management has, money pursuits. So they all have different visions on what the park will be. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
And one last thing is that the storyteller is really just a drunk asshole. But that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
He pissed on the map. He gave her so much information for her just being like
an asshole. He's the one, like I know you're not supposed to like him, but he's the one actor in this that I don't like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's too
Over the top?
he's too much of a caricature. You know what I mean? Like, he's just too much almost. Like, he's supposed to be this talk it up kind of guy, but I don't know. He just seems like too much.
No, I get it. He's over the top.
Yeah.
But I just don't know where they go from here. Like, what was the point of him getting pissed drunk and pissing on the map? Like, are they gonna fire him? Because
Yeah,
that doesn't go anywhere. So you
if
need it to
he's
serve
not
the
fired,
story.
then it has no, like, there was no point to that at all.
There's absolutely no point. So there has to be a reason why he did that. Is he going to write a story that's going to affect something, or are they going to fire his ass and bring in a new storyteller who doesn't put up with shit? I don't know.
But the way that Teresa is, she's constantly stressed out, as we see in every scene where she's smoking now. That Ford is the loose cannon, so this person was been brought in by the board to clean it up. So they might still need him, even though he's a douche. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's really all I have to say about this episode. You got anything?
Yeah, this is another one I'm gonna have to watch again because there's so many things. Because now I'm thinking back to when he's looking at that journal. If on the Dolores page there's something like highlighted on body parts, like something in the mind or something in the arms or something like that. Like there's like these anatomical drawings. I don't know how you say.
Yeah,
it.
I noticed those. Yeah.
So I was like, oh, maybe there's something to that. Like we had with that Kissy guy had it under his scalp, right?
Yeah. No, we gotta pause it for sure and look at it. And
Yeah.
if there was something with the wrist, that'd be interesting because she did pull
That's
something
right.
out of her wrist. In
I
the last
saw
episode.
something like a chunk of her. I thought it was maybe bicep, but it might have been something on her arm that they peeled back, which we've already seen. That maybe there's a bay in there because we see that guy with the laser guided thing in there.
I don't know. That'd be interesting.
Woo!
But until then, we're gonna be back with our analysis video, really diving deep into this episode.
Yeah.
You can look forward to that later this week.
Lots to swim through on this one.
All right, but until then, see you guys later.
See ya.